Religion, as defined in Wikipedia, is the belief in and worship of a god, gods, or in a general set of beliefs explaining the existence of and giving meaning to the universe, usually involving devotional and ritual observances and often containing a moral code governing the conduct of human affairs. The irony of religion, however, is that because of its power and use of fear through death and God, it can actually lead people towards a destructive course, all in the name of their fictitious god. And this in turn could actually lead to the world's destruction, in one form or another. In a nutshell, all that can be said is that it's time for us as a species to move away from these old dogmatic beliefs that do nothing more than imprison our logic and reasoning capabilities, and instead answer every great mystery this universe throws at us with the simple answer, God did it. It's time for us to sacrifice religion itself in the name of progress, advancement, and human society. I think it goes without saying that we are living in tough times, and I think it also goes without saying that none of this can be resolved while we continue to let these religious irrationalists make key decisions. I don't think it's a big secret that politicians use God to win votes, and that a vote for them is a vote for God. At least 2/3 of this demographic have never even read the Bible cover to cover, or have a full understanding of its message. They only claim to. This could also be said about the American population, which mostly consists of Christian fundamentalists, evangelicals, neo-evangelicals, and charismatics. Yet at least 65% of this group have also never read the Bible cover to cover, and what's even more shocking is that only about 25% of that actually practices going to church. I'm sorry, but God is not the answer. Saying that he would be is like putting all your faith on the outcome of a Ouija board. Faith means making a virtue out of nothing, of being oblivious, and not questioning the life that has been given to you. Ignorance is by no means anything for you to be proud of, or for you to brag about. Those people that do preach faith, who elevate it and enable it, are nothing more than modern-day intellectual slaveholders imprisoning mankind in a nonsensical fantasy that has not just spawned so much lunacy and destruction around it, but also justified it. Let's just say for the sake of argument that the religious right in America were allowed to make matters up. Here's just a few of the things they would aim to change in the name of faith. They'd take away the freedom of speech. They'd remove a woman's right to choose to have an abortion. They'd attempt to frighten children with inaccuracies about sex, disease, and pregnancy, and make it difficult to obtain reliable birth control. They'd take away the right to bear arms because too many sinners would have guns. They'd bring religion into schools and teach it openly, and denounce evolution and return us to a point where nobody challenged creation science. Atheism, paganism, and even agnosticism would be deemed illegal. All forms of art, pornography, and free expression would be struck down. You'd be told what you could see on television and movies, what you could read, what you could do with your life, and how you would live. Fear and paranoia would reign supreme. A little far-fetched, but too far-fetched? Not really. If you were born in an Islamic state, this could very much be a reality, where everything is governed by the state or country's religious belief system. Another reason why religion is so dangerous, based simply on that fact alone, that it gives people who don't have the answers to life a sudden capability to say that they do. Most people are too afraid to take control of their own lives and accept the responsibility of their own actions, be it their natural fear of death or some other motivator. It's much easier for them when they do have God to praise or blame for their successes or shortcomings in life, making so many people quick to fall to their knees and proclaim, "I accept you, Lord. My life is in your hands and is yours to do your bidding." Except there's one little problem. Since there is no God or God's talking back to you, you're essentially leaving yourself open for someone to fill that void with their own personal agendas, corruptions, prejudices, and limitations. So anyone trying to sell you that they have a direct line to God, or that they even simply know what happens to you after you die, I can affirm to you that they simply do not. How could I possibly know this? Simple. Because nobody knows none of these things. I most certainly do not, and they do not possess some mental superpowers that we do not have, or have yet seen any evidence to support. If there is an appropriate attitude for mankind to have about all these big questions in life, it's not one of arrogance or certitude. Nope, doubt, or at least being uncertain would probably be the correct attitude to assume here. There is something certainly humbling in that idea, and that's exactly what we need to be if we ever plan to see what we're truly capable of as a species. I mean, if we take a look at human history, it's nothing but a repetition of getting things wrong and fixing them. Sometimes completely dead wrong. However, what's wrong with that? We learn from our mistakes. We learn from getting things wrong. There's nothing to be ashamed of in that logic. You can't find all the right answers without finding the wrong ones first. Does a parent teach his child everything that's right and wrong in this world? Or do they have to let the child find out the answer themselves sometimes? So all you rational, logical, anti-religion, whatever we need to call ourselves, it's time for us to make a stand and make our voices heard. The same could be said about all of the moderately religious people out there. Those of you who maybe don't attend church, who maybe haven't fully read the Bible or respective text, or those of you who were just brought up in a religious family. It's time for you guys to take a long look in the mirror and think about how the relief or the comfort that these religions or beliefs bring you usually come at some terrible price. In fact, I'm sure if you belong to some political party or social group that was coupled with as much violence, homophobia, bigotry, misogyny, and pure sheer ignorance as religion is, you'd resign in a heartbeat. To not do so is to be an enabler for the real extremist devils of this world that draw their authority from the billions in our societies. So if the world does come to an end right here, or whenever it does decide to come, who knows, maybe it will just continue to crawl towards the future, devastated by some form of religious-inspired terrorism. Keep in mind, that is true when people say that what the real problem was is that we figured out how to accelerate mass death before we got past the discernible irregularity of desiring for it. That's all, folks. Life is too short to be distracted by the opinions of others.
Excuse me, I'd just like to ask a question. What does God need with a starship?